Right? So, okay. Anyway, back at the ranch.
Water and heating systems. After intense diplomacy with US officials, Ukraine says revisions to Washington's 28-point plan to end the war are nearly complete, and President Zelensky intends to visit the US before November's end to nail down the most sensitive political points with Donald Trump. Despite the many
So there's a 28-point plan that Marco Rubio came up with? Like, who came up with this plan? Because it sure as shit wasn't Pete Hegseth. We know damn well it wasn't Donald Trump. And we know damn well it wasn't J.D. Vance. He's too busy chasing Erica Kirk's skirt. So, who came up with this 28-point plan? And if there is a 28-point plan and the Ukraine has mostly accomplished it, why isn't peace around the corner? Why is Russia ramping up and engaging in more aggression? Questions, right?
Challenges it faces, losses on the battlefield, corruption scandals, rising public anger over heavy-handed military recruitment. President Zelensky's administration seems once again to have turned a potential crisis with the United States around. It's now much more comfortable with the shape of Washington's deal, having viewed the first draft as little more than a Kremlin wish list.
But, okay, nothing but a Kremlin wish list. Okay, it's not the Cold War. Nobody gives a damn about Russia. Literally, nobody cares about Russia. Not a single solitary soul on this planet thinks Russia is the boogeyman. If you had to poll the average citizen globally, like Japanese people, Mongolian people, Congolese people, Philippine people, Chinese people, if you actually did a poll where the only question was, fill in the blank, who do you think is the greatest threat or adversity on Earth, I'm willing to bet, I am willing to bet most people in most countries would point to the United States. I think secondly would be Israel, and then European countries would point at Russia, and America would be pointing at China. So it's like, we aren't the good guys. And probably in 100 or 200 years, there's going to be all sorts of independence days from American imperialism after it's been revealed that we've been an empire this whole time, right? So, a Kremlin wish list? No, more like a Washington wish list, because we're getting just as much of the bag as the Kremlin is. And that's the point that is never brought up, is America was taking advantage to try and carve up Ukraine as well. Can Pete Hegseth read or write? Honestly, I don't know. Scandinavians are surprisingly anti-Russia. But see, that I'll grant them that because of the historical significance and the proximity of their borders. But beyond that, like, I don't buy actual Russia fear. I really don't.
Leaders are also cautiously optimistic. But behind their assertions that Ukraine should not be abandoned nor its sovereignty compromised are concerns that Europe is being sidelined in discussions vital to the continent's security.
No one can be against a peace plan, but a peace plan cannot be made without Ukraine. A peace plan in Europe requires us to discuss with the Europeans, and I think I can say that we're not there yet.
That's a valid point, too, because so far it seems as though the Ukrainian-Russian conflict is actually a negotiation between Russia and America, which we've been saying for as long as this has been going on, that this is a US-Russia proxy war. So the fact that the EU is being stifled, and not to make light of the fact that Trump has also pushed a lot of the burden of the military and funding of NATO onto Europe, which wasn't part of the deal to begin with, is exacerbating this issue even further with the added snub of America ignoring the EU and their parliament of gathering of whatever, right? So definitely a valid point to make. Certainly something that I don't necessarily think of at first when I think of Russia and Ukraine. But that's probably because I am also a victim of empire mentality. And, well, America's handling it. I thought you guys were already... No, you weren't talking about it? Whoops, my bad. Here's a seat at the table. Well, that's what they're saying. They don't have a seat at the table. which could possibly prolong the conflict further just because, well, we weren't at the table, so we don't approve of this. I don't care what Ukraine, Russia, and America says. We're not going to approve it, which could then exacerbate whatever peace deal is in place. So I can see both sides of the argument.
Today, we are working on it.
Romania, a NATO member, scrambled German jets based there when suspected Russian drones breached its airspace overnight. Moldovan police say a drone also crashed on its territory during Russia's attack on Ukraine. Rory Challens, Al Jazeera, Kiev.
Well, at least they didn't mention Poland this time. So